Hello everyone. Okay, so today we are going to begin our next topic, that is women write about women. Okay, so from this topic, from the early 20th century, Muslim women like the Begums of Bhopal played a notable role in promoting education among women. Okay, so basically what was happening, Begums of Bhopal. So if this is the map of India, so here is the Madhya Pradesh. Okay, here is your Madhya Pradesh, right? So in the Madhya Pradesh, the Bhopal, currently Bhopal is the capital of Madhya Pradesh. So the Begums of Bhopal, okay, so Muslim ladies who belongs to aristocracy, Muslim aristocracy, those ladies were of Bhopal played a notable role in promoting education among women. Okay, they founded a primary school for girls at Aligarh. Now, where is Aligarh? If you know, if you have, if you just a second. Yes, I'm again making the map here, something like this. In Uttar Pradesh, in your UP, okay, in UP, there is uh, Aligarh. Okay, so Aligarh, in the Aligarh of UP, it is they found a primary school. They made a primary school for girls, right, at Aligarh. Now, another remarkable woman. Now, who is the next remarkable woman we are going to study about in this paragraph is our Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat Hussain. Okay, as you can see on your screen, Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat Hussain is the next woman we are talking about here, and she was the woman who didn't care about, she fought with people. She didn't care about the the old orthodox thinking people, the people who just for them, they are like so, but she was so fight, she can fight with others, and she made a school for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta. Now where are these now? These are, by the way, very common in Bihar. The current capital of Bihar is Patna. Okay, Patna in Bihar. And then second is Calcutta, the earlier name of Kolkata in West Bengal. Okay, so these places, who made Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat Hussain started a Muslim school for Muslim girls. Okay, now, she was a fearless critic. As I told you, she was a fearless critic of conservative ideas, arguing that religious leaders of every faith accorded an inferior place to women. Okay, so for her, that doesn't matter, and what she believes is that she believes, and she has faith in herself, and she respected the values of others and herself. But doesn't matter if someone others values are really bad or orthodox or something like that, or opposite to women. So that was not her case. She don't care about that. She can fight with those people, she can say without any hitches. Okay, by the 1880s, Indian women began to enter universities. Now, by the 1880s, now as women were getting schools and higher education, so they were also thinking that why don't we go for more higher education, right? So, Indian women also began to enter universities. Some of them trained to be doctors, some became teachers, many women began to write and publish their critical views on the place of women in society. Now, a lot of women became teachers, and a lot of women became also doctors by going to the universities. But a lot of women became the writers, okay, and the publishers, because they wanted to share their views about, they wanted to publicize this thing, that how women are being treated in India, and people should be aware of this, and people should raise a voice against this, because a lot of women were also getting education at a place, and on the other hand, a lot of women were being, and a lot of girls were not even allowed to go to school, were not even allowed to go out of their homes. So this was the case. Now, here is a critical Tarabai Shinde. Okay, now who's this Tarabai Shinde? A woman educated at home at Pune published a book Stree Purush Tulna. okay, which is in English a comparison between women and men. Stri means women, Purush means men, and Tulna means comparison. Okay, criticizing the social differences between men and women. So now let's go to the Tarabai Shinde. So here you can see Stri Purush Tulna book Lekhika Tarabai Shinde. So this is Tarabai Shinde who got her education at home in the Pune. Okay, now you know where is Pune? In the Maharashtra. Okay, it is somewhere like this. If this is the map, so Maharashtra lies here, and just below Mumbai, the capital of Maharashtra, just below Mumbai there is Pune, right? So in the Pune at home, she got her education. So, but she was also a critic of the comparison of the you know uh, she was also the critic of the discrimination between women and men in the society of Indian society or Hindu Orthodox society. So that was all. Now here comes Pandita Ramabai, a great scholar of Sanskrit, felt that Hinduism was oppressive towards women and wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. Okay, so now she is telling. Now what Pandita Ramabai is telling, she was a scholar of Sanskrit. Okay, what scholar of Sanskrit? She was learned, her parents taught her, her father taught her Sanskrit because she was also not allowed to go out to the schools, but yes, her father taught her, and she felt after some age she felt that Hinduism is really very oppressive towards women, a very means it is so discriminating towards women, and she wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women, not the lower caste. The upper caste Hindu women also were going through a miserable life, so she wrote a book about that. Okay, now she founded a widow's home at Pune, and after some age, she also made a widow's home at Pune to provide shelter to widows who had been treated badly by their husbands, relatives. So, widows. For widows, she made a different space in Pune. Here, women were trained so that they could support themselves economically. And what was the good thing about this? The good thing was that women were trained here, educated here, or trained in some way so that they would be able to earn their own living. Okay? Yes. Now, needless to say, all this more then alarmed the Orthodox. For instance, many Hindu nationalists felt that Hindu women were adopting Western ways and that this would corrupt Hindu culture and erode family values. Orthodox Muslims were also worried about the impact of these changes. Basically, what was happening now a lot of women were educating, making schools, getting higher education. So the Orthodox, the people the Orthodox who belongs to the Orthodox Muslim society or Orthodox Hindu society were not liking this at all. As you can see, by the end of the 19th century, women themselves were actively working for reform. They wrote books, edited magazines. So, what was the thinking of these Orthodox families? That they are going to erode the Hinduism religion. They are following Britishers. They thought that the women are following Britishers. They are following the foreigners. But that wasn't true at all. They were following themselves. Women were following themselves. And then uh, to prove this thought, here in the next paragraph, that women were not going to support Britishers after getting education. They were still supporting Indians and wrote magazines, make awareness programs, and worked actively in the freedom struggle. Okay, set up women's associations. They also set up women's associations so that women can get empowered and fight against Britishers, become a part of freedom struggle. From the early 20th century, they formed political pressure groups to push through laws for I think it's kind of funny that maybe you are able to hear the cows or the crow, but that's okay. Yeah, so they wrote books, edited magazines, founded schools and training centers. Yeah. So for early 20th century, they formed political pressure groups to push through laws for female suffrage, the right to vote, the better health care, education for women. So they were also pressurizing the government to provide all the rights to them as well as men are getting. Some of them joined various kinds of nationalist and social movements from 1920s. Okay. Now, in the 20th century, leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. Which leaders? Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Such leaders. Just a second. Yeah. Such leaders lent their support to demand for greater equality and freedom for women. Okay, now they were also supporting what women education and the development of women. Nationalist leaders promised that there would be full suffrage for all men and women after independence. However, till then they asked women to concentrate on the anti-British struggles. So basically, at that time, when women were asking for their rights, at that time, the nationalists were saying that there's currently focus should be on the anti-British struggles instead of women, because right now we should first take out the foreigners out, then we can solve the issues between the people of India. Okay, so that is why nationalists said first let me concentrate on anti-British struggles, then we will come to women, and they promised that they are going to also make equality full after independence. So that was all in this paragraph. I hope you understood this. And if you have any kind of question, any kind of doubt, please mention in the comment section so that I would be able to answer your doubts. And in the next video, we are going to begin our next topic, that is, caste and social reform. So thank you. Have a good day.